Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. There's a couple of things I want to look at today. The first is a community goal here, and the second is to see how well we can get Multicrew running on a single PC. More on that in just a moment, but let's have a look here first at this community goal, which is one set in motion by the Canonn Expeditionary Forces, which of course are a player group. What they want to do is convert a mining outpost in their system into a military settlement. So this is a trading community goal. We need to deliver battle weapons, personal weapons, nerve agents, pesticides and hydrogen fuel to Russell Hub in the Canonn system. As with any trading community goal, it's the travelling around that takes the time, so thanks to the power of editing we can skip straight to the station here. Now, what I usually do with these types of community goals is use the website eddb.io, which will tell you exactly where to get the resources you need. Very handy website, and I will link it in the video description below, but I'm sure by now most of you know exactly what that is and how to use it. Unfortunately for this community goal, the destination station is an outpost, which means we have to go in a small ship. I would take my T9 otherwise and fill it right up. But as the T9 wouldn't fit on any of the landing pads there, we simply have to take a ship that will fit there. Now, community goals I find are really interesting because they allow player groups to expand their influence around the galaxy. They allow them to get new resources that they otherwise might not be able to get hold of, such as outposts and stations and even settlements down on planets. There's actually been a really interesting development on this particular subject in a recent announcement by Canonn Research. They've said that their next community goal, due to start on the 11th of May, will deliver them a megaship. This, of course, is the first time that players have been granted such an asset. And there's another really interesting thing in the announcement, and it seems to have profound implications for the game. It says that the megaship will initially be placed in the Pleiades sector. So the implication there is that, well, the megaship could be moved around. Another nice touch is that all participants in the community goal will also receive a Canonn Research decal. So then, back with this community goal, I made just over 300,000 credits on that particular trade run, and whilst I was only initially right at the bottom here, a few more runs soon pushed me up the tiers. So as usual, community goals are a reasonably decent way of making money. So then, that done, let's move on to the Multicrew section of this video. Now I'm here in my Vulture, and the idea is that I'm going to join my own ship with my second account. Now some people may consider this an exploit, but Frontier officially do not consider this an exploit, and they've gone out their way to expressly say that if people want to use more than one account to multi-crew their own ship, they are free to do so. So the way to do this is to launch Elite Dangerous initially, and I've just all tabbed back to desktop there. You can see my first client running down the bottom. We close the launcher and then open another launcher. Now this launcher is pointing to a second install of the game, so you will need some hard drive space to do that, and you can simply click on play just like you normally would, and this will launch a second copy of the game. To be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about doing this. It's actually the first time I've ever done it, but I've heard of other people doing it and I wanted to see how well it actually worked, and I thought people would be interested to see this as well, so here we go, I guess. So on the main screen there is my main account, the account I use the most, which is Commander Obsidian Ant, and in the little window up on the top right hand corner is Commander Granite, the account that's stationed out near Colonia. So I've sent her an invite and now accepted the invite, and old Granite should be joining the ship at any moment now. Now the advantage here of course is that what happens is we get an additional pip to use. Now, I certainly won't be using Granite in any official capacity such as gunner roll or anything like that. They're simply going to just sit there doing absolutely nothing, and we're just going to take advantage of the additional pip that their being there grants. So here you can see I've got my two accounts logged into the same ship. Commander Obsidian Ant up the front and Granite there in the co-pilot seat. Now both of these accounts, as you saw, are running on the same PC, and it has had a bit of a frame rate impact. Normally I get a solid 60 frames a second here. I do lock the frames to 60 frames a second, so I'll probably get way above that anyway. But you can see the frame rate has dropped down because I'm running two instances of the game, and it does get a little bit jerky here, but nothing too unplayable. Now, one thing I did realise as I was in Super Cruise to an extraction site is that I still had EDFX switched on, which is a graphic mod, and that does reduce some of the frame rate. So I've switching that off right here, first in the Obsidian Ant client and then in the Granite client. And you can see my frame rate now has jumped right back up. So having two accounts running is very, very playable indeed, assuming you have the hardware. I'm running an i7 6700K and a GTX 1080. Now, this video isn't to demonstrate combat prowess or anything like that, because I think you'll know by now I'm severely lacking when it comes to that. And it's also not to really demonstrate the sheer amount of additional power that may or may not be provided by Multicrew. It's simply to demonstrate that this does indeed work. Like I say, I've never done this before, and I certainly have never used it to any advantage. Of course, the Vulture is a 2-seat ship. You can also do this with any 3-seat ship as well, assuming you've got 3 accounts. Then you can run as many clients as your PC is capable of actually running. Another alternative is to run the other clients on a laptop or a second PC if you have access to that. Now, one thing that I did notice here, I found quite interesting, is the latency between the main client and the other client. The other client being the one that the Multicrew passenger would actually see. So here I've got the additional pip placed into weapons, and that's where it stays, but that gives me an additional pip to move around and do what I want with, meaning I can keep a constant pip in systems if I want, or to give me an additional pip in engines. And if I were to run an additional account, a third account here, then I would of course have 2 extra pips. Anyone who does any significant combat in the game, whether PvP or PvE, will know that additional pips like this are pretty significant. As I'm not a PvPer, then I can't really say what sort of impact this would have on that sort of gameplay, but I suspect that also would be quite significant indeed. Now, it's not just about the additional power you can get to your ship, you can also of course get yourself some free money. Now, I was only here in this extraction site for a very short amount of time, just destroyed 3 ships, and straight away you can see that Commander Granite here got 300,000 credits that they would not be able to get otherwise, as they're, well, right out there in the depths of space, nowhere near any sort of extraction site. And all they did was simply sit on board my ship and got that free 300,000 credits. So I'd certainly be interested to know what your thoughts on this are, whether you consider it an exploit or just a valid part of the game. Like I say, Frontier themselves have confirmed that they're more than happy for people to actually go and do this. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.